Alright guys, welcome to our mobile Q&A. Just on the move today, where we're gonna still go for our usual weekend questions, and let's get into it.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Okay, so right from the top, I think we only have like 2 or 3 questions this weekend, so nothing too lengthy. So we have a question here about Adesa. A few questions about Adesa, which is, so what does dealer advance mean, Neil? What does dealer advance mean on Adesa online?
I think
Or just Adesa?
their question, like they have 3 questions in there.
Yeah.
Just go for all 3 questions
Yeah,
and answer, because they kind of will answer each other. Like
Okay.
kind of work hand in hand. So just go for the question.
So what does dealer advance mean? How do we know who the seller is? Most of the time I am unable to see the seller's name. And number 3, is it safe to buy from Adesa online auctions? What is your opinion? Thanks.
Okay. So for part 1 and 2, like I'm saying, these 2 kind of answer itself. When you're trying to look for the seller at Adesa or even Mannheim, most of the auctions are very similar. It's not going to show you the seller name. They don't want you to really bypass them before the auction and try to make an outside deal without them, okay? So where it actually says dealer advance, that's where they normally have the seller's name. Big sellers will have their name there. In other words, leasing companies, like if let's say you're at Adesa, you'll notice Honda Canada, Ford Canada, maybe Tesla, any of the major manufacturer sellers, even all the rentals, Enterprise, Hertz, you'll see their name there. But when a regular dealer like you and I sell a car at Adesa, they're not going to put our name. They're just going to say dealer advance. So that's what the dealer advance is. That means the dealer is advancing this car to the auction to sell it. They're not going to tell you the specific dealer name. Only after you buy the car, you'll obviously see the dealer name on your bill of sale. Other dealers you may see on there, like sometimes Kenshaw, for example. Kenshaw have a deal with Adesa where they're a regular seller, and they sell their trade-ins at Adesa, let's say every other auction. Right. So for that reason, because they sell 15 cars there every other week, Adesa put their name on there as a major seller. So they have the VIP sellers, in other words. So your name will be on that section where it says dealer advance. Okay. So I think that answers the part 1 and 2, correct?
I think so, yeah.
And then the second part about
is it safe? What do you think?
Safe?
What is your experience?
I think I said in other videos, I prefer buying cars in person. However, yes, it is still safe to buy cars online, because that's the only option we had during COVID anyway. I just recommend taking your time and going through all the pictures very carefully before the auction. You don't want to do it right at the auction, because I find you don't have enough time. The few seconds the car takes to run for the auction, you can never read all the disclosures quick enough. You can never look at all the pictures and go for the Carfax quick enough. So if you have a list of 10 cars you want to buy before the auction, the night before, just look at all the pictures very carefully, read all the disclosures very carefully, and then if you're out of town and you don't get a chance to see the car, you can even go to the auction a day before and inspect the car. If you don't have time to do that, it's okay to pay for Adesa to inspect the car for you, so you can pay for auction inspection. Mannheim also offers buyer guarantees, like insurance almost. You can like return the car, no questions asked, okay? So if you are nervous about buying cars online, consider buying those kind of dealer guarantees, just to make sure that if you're not 100% satisfied with the purchase, you can take it back, okay?
And I guess if you're I guess that would be more the case too if you're not if you're buying and you have to get it delivered,
shipped to you,
or if it's from Adesa, like Vancouver.
Sure,
it's probably worthwhile to have,
because if the car is coming from far, you want to make somebody take a look at it before. But if you have the option to see it before the auction, I strongly recommend that, right?
Yeah, that's always the best way.
And then you know what, talking about buying online, it's not just Adesa. Like to me, I feel more comfortable buying Tripzzz online, and that's just my personal preference, and it is because Tripzzz, the auction is live for at least an hour, right? So during that hour, like I said, I don't feel the pressure. I can look for the pictures carefully, I can do things carefully, and I find the dealers, because you can rate them based on a good seller or a good buyer, people are more or less honest, in my experience, in the disclosures, disclosing all the stone chips and all that kind of stuff. The agency workers that are processing the car at Adesa, sometimes they miss stuff. They don't care. Like, sometimes they see things, they disclose some things, and they may not be on point all the time. But I find find most dealers that are disclosing the damages on the car are generally very honest, because you can give them a bad rating, or you could equally arbitrate the car for
because there's no middleman, right? Tripzzz, there's really no middleman. Like, you're literally, the seller is the one selling it, like, and the seller is the one putting all the disclosures.
Yeah.
But also after Tripzzz, you get to rate the seller. So, right? You know,
tend to be honest. Yeah,
exactly.
After the purchase, then you get to rate.
Exactly. So if you did have a bad experience, well, you wouldn't, but the seller would, you know, try to basically resolve it with you, because at the end of the day, they're also being rated as a seller on Tripzzz. Whereas with Adesa, it's kind of just, you know, Adesa is kind of in bed with, like you said, all the manufacturers. Basically, it's a business too, so whoever...
All the agency workers that have to process all those cars very quickly, they don't, you know, they may not be on point with that.
What app or software do you use to book the cars?
It's a different type of
This
question.
Wholesale, dealer license, Q&A. What app or software do you use to book the cars?
So meaning when I'm taking a car on a trade-in, how do I decide the value of the car?
Like to evaluate, assess the value, like the wholesale value of a car.
Exactly.
Okay.
So because I am a smaller dealer, I'm trying not to spend too much money. So obviously the bigger dealers use like V-Auto and all those things we talked about before. It's very expensive to use that. It collects a lot of data from online, right?
Here we go, sorry.
But if we are if you sell just a few cars a month, you don't really need to pay for the software. So what I tend to use right now is Tripzzz, because Tripzzz also gives you a history of cars that was sold in your area. So if I'm taking a car on a trade, I like to just run it for Tripzzz. Not like run it like I'm selling it. There's a history of the last 30 days or 40 days of sale, so I can search for a car and see what other dealers were paying on the app for that car. So I know worst case scenario, if I take this car on trade and I can't sell it, if I run it on Tripzzz, I can break even or I can make a little bit of money. So I use Tripzzz number one. Second of all, I just go on Kijiji and Auto Trader to have an idea what other dealers are asking for the car retail. So anything between, I know what I can sell it wholesale if I have to dump it on Tripzzz, and I know what I can retail it, and I just kind of make my number somewhere in between what I feel comfortable paying. Now there's other resources you could use to. Adesa used to have that for free. Now they charge about $100 a month where you get the auction data. So the same way you can get the Tripzzz data, you can get Adesa data to know what cars are being sold for at Adesa, and that would give you an idea what a fair wholesale and retail price would be. So again, just history of the buying and selling, right? All right, guys, this is the end of our Q&A today. It was just short and to the point. Thanks for watching, and if you want to get your questions